There's also another group of people that are paid to instigate the star players, to like get under their skin, to talk shit.
Hold on. So you're telling me there's a whole sport where only a third of the team is actually playing the sport, and then the other two are playing mind games with each
Pretty
other?
much.
Let's take a sip of tea of the town.
All right, Linda, are you ready to hear about the heated rivalry between the NHL and John Scott?
Hell yes, I am.
Okay, this story, I love it so much. I actually first learned about it from Radiolab, which is one of my favorite podcasts.
Oh, I love Radiolab.
Big fan,
Yeah.
and Jad Abumrad reported on this. The episode is called The Punchline, so definitely recommend checking it out. It's so good. All right, so this story is around the All-Star Game of the NHL. Okay. So basically what this is they have this big mid-season spectacle where fans can vote for their favorite players and they play against each other on these all-star teams.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super,
So it's
super
like
cool.
fantasy football come to life. Well, fantasy hockey
Exactly.
come to life.
Exactly. All right.
Okay.
So one thing to note, it is November 2015.
Yeah.
And there's been some changes to the All-Star Game.
Okay.
And the NHL is basically saying, okay, we're going to make some changes to the format. The first one is instead of doing teams of 5 playing against teams of 5, they're changing it. So now it's 3-on-3.
Okay.
Their idea is that this will lead to more action and more scoring.
Yeah. Right.
But like it's less people for fans to be able to vote in. So already
Right.
they're just kind of like,
And I'm assuming it attracts a little bit less of the fandom, right? Because like each of the players is going to come with their own like dedicated fandom.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So already people are like, not a big fan of that. And also they've even been accused at one point, the NHL was accused of turning off voting when they didn't like the direction it was going. So fans have already been feeling some tension.
Yeah.
The other thing that they change this year is that instead of voting for all the players on the team, now people are only voting for the captain of each division. And there's 4 divisions.
Okay.
So there's the Pacific, the Central, the Atlantic, and the Metropolitan.
So the fans only get to vote for one captain of the team versus the whole team.
Exactly. So it's quite limiting
Very
for the
different.
fans.
Yeah.
So people are pretty upset. They're like, this is not how it used to be. The fans are, just, they feel like there's so many changes that have been happening in the NHL during this time. This just kind of feels like a slap in the face.
Yeah.
So that's where we meet sports reporter Greg Wazinski. He's also nicknamed Puck Daddy.
Puck Daddy. Puck Daddy.
Puck Daddy.
Puck Daddy.
Yep.
Oh my God, no matter how you say it, it's still cool.
Exactly. So he's actually super influential in the news or the hockey world. So he's named in the hockey news like 100 people of power and influence. He's been a sports reporter for a long time, but he focuses on hockey.
So he looks like he's from the Midwest or Canada for sure. He just looks like he's pretty nice.
Yeah, he's got that look about him.
He's got a nice look.
Yeah,
Like, I'm Puck Daddy.
Puck Daddy. He's Puck Daddy.
I think I just made up his porn name.
I think you may have. Yeah. So he is on a podcast. He's joking about the whole situation.
Yeah.
And he proposes this idea of like, we should troll the NHL with the vote. Because we have such limited power, let's use the power for evil.
This is the problem with asking the internet
Yes.
to vote on anything.
Exactly.
Oh.
So they're like, let's find a way to basically give a big FU to the NHL. And so his idea is like, let's vote in a really bad player, like who would not make sense for
Oh no, I'm
a
already
captain.
feeling bad for the player though.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the idea totally blows up. People are like, yes, this is what we have to do. And he throws out the perfect player for this, John Scott.
Okay.
So let me introduce you to John Scott. John Scott is a big dude, okay? He's 6'8", he's 270 pounds,
Yeah.
all right? So the thing about him is when it comes to endurance and speed,
Yeah.
not really his thing.
Wouldn't be his thing.
That's not the role that he typically plays on the team.
Yeah.
He's also not great when it comes to handling the puck. What he is good at,
Unlike Puck Daddy.
what he is good at is taking players down.
Okay. Okay.
So he's like a fighter, you know?
I didn't think hockey was a tackle sport.
But it is. But it is. And one of the biggest draws actually is the fight.
I know.
So, but the thing about him is like he has also always loved hockey. Like he tells the story about his dad when he was 3 years old, builds a rink in their backyard and puts him in skates at 3.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And he's saying things like, I practice morning, noon, and night. He was saying he'd go to bed in his jersey so that he could just wake up and like hit the ice.
I love this for him.
Yeah. So like, but
I love a passion. I
Yes.
love a passion.
absolutely. And he's always been a big kid. So, you know, he was kind of put in these positions where he could handle a beating and deliver one. But the thing that's kind of sad is in high school, a lot of his colleagues, they start getting all these offers and scholarships, and most of the coaches are overlooking him.
I see.
Because they're like, yeah, you're really good at taking people down, but like your skill set just really isn't there.
Yeah.
And we need more well-rounded players. So there's just not a lot of interest in him. However, he does finally get one offer to play for Michigan Tech. And this is considered like kind of a mid-level hockey university. So not anything crazy.
Yeah.
And he is like, okay, I'll take it. And he just kind of expects like, I'm going to get this scholarship and get a free education. And, you know, once I'm done playing here, I'll get a job and that'll be that, you know. But two things happen, okay? The first is that he meets Danielle. They're both engineering students.
Oh.
And she goes on to be his wife. Yes.
Love.
And we love Danielle. I'm just going to put that out there.
Okay.
She's amazing.
We love her.
So remember this.
Yep.
The other thing that happens is he gets an offer while he's there to play for the Houston Aeros, which is a minor league team.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's actually going into an era where he could be professional in hockey.
exactly. So he gets this offer. He's not expecting it.
Yeah.
But it's not anything crazy. They offer him around like $35K to play.
Yeah.
And he talks to Danielle and says, you know, what do you think about me just trying a career at hockey, just seeing how this goes? And she's like, yeah, let's do this. She supports him. Just try it out.
Yeah.
So he works really hard. And I love this. He's interviewed in this podcast and he says, you know, I was the bad skater, so I worked really hard at skating. I was a bad passer, so I would work at passing after practice. So he's like, I'm taking this seriously.
Yeah.
I'm going to up level my skills. He's trying so hard. But the thing is, at every skill that is identified that he decides to work on, he still just feels like he's a step behind.
Right.
That he's
Yeah.
just not, so he's not ever getting airtime pretty much.
This reminds me of something, this is really random, but this reminds me of something that my calculus teacher said in high school. She was like, my favorite students are never A students. And I was like, boo. She said, and I'll never forget this. She's like, my favorite students are B students. And only the B students that would normally be C students, but worked their asses off to get a B. And I was like, yeah,
I love that.
absolutely.
Yes.
She's like, because it's about it's skill and effort, and it makes me even happier when they work it up to an A. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. That like reminds me of
that.
my calculus teacher, and he's the B student.
He's
the
the
C
B
student who works for a B and might get to an A, you know?
Exactly.
Which I
that
like.
is a perfect description of him. And I love that. And so the thing about him is he really does take it seriously. So one thing that he notices while he's on the bench, because he's not getting any sort of play time, because he's just still behind the other players on the team, is that he sees other big dudes like him that are getting put out.
Yeah.
And so he decides he's going to talk to them and be like, how is it that you're getting,
What are you doing?
you know, you're getting play time? What is the difference? He's trying to find whatever in he can get.
Yeah.
And they all tell him, you have to learn how to fight.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Because at this time, this is pre him fighting.
Yeah.
He was really just trying to play.
They legitimately, that's what they told him.
That is what they told him. You have to learn how to fight to get noticed.
It's like, take wrestling lessons.
Essentially, because like that is the role that he is physically suited to play on a hockey team.
Yeah.
So that's what he does.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Go. The fist.
Oh yeah.
He's not joking.
So this is what I learned about hockey. So there's a couple groups of people. One, there's like the group that is paid to perform. So these are the star players that can handle the puck, that are super agile, super fast. There's also another group of people that are paid to instigate the star players, to like get under their skin, to talk shit. And these are actually known as rats or pests.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm a hockey fan.
Right? And you can even hear them like on their mics when they turn them on, and they'll be talking. Like one of the guys was saying like, "You're the ugliest guy in the league." And
I would be so good at that
oh,
job.
I'm like, okay, I know the role I was born to play.
I'm a hockey fan.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know it until this moment.
No, I actually, what's funny is, so when I was like 7, I was in a soccer team.
Yeah.
Didn't last very long because they called me the daisy picker. Because what I would do is I would start and I would be talking so much smack to the other team, playing those mental games at 7, as I do.
You should.
That they would pull me and then I would just go pick daisies. Oh. So I would have been a pest, 100%.
First of all, I think your soccer strategy is the right one.
It was solid, and my talent wasn't appreciated for its time.
100%. I don't know what they're missing.
Thank you.
But also, I think you would be exceptional at being the pest.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
However, because there's pests, there's the third group. Okay? And these are the guys that are sent in to deal with the pests.
Oh.
That are like,
pest control.
Pest control.
What do they call them?
They call them the enforcers, but pest control would have been so much better.
Seriously,
they need
guys,
us.
Call me up when you need a name.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
missed opportunity.
I know.
The enforcers.
They go in and they, like, John was basically saying he would watch the teams to see who are the pests on the team. And then when they'd play them, he'd go up to them and be like, don't. And a lot of the time that was enough because he's such a big dude. But if it wasn't, then he'd take him out like this.
Oh my God. Okay. Like, hold on. So you're telling me there's a whole sport where only a third of the team is actually playing the sport and then the other two are playing mind games with each other?
Pretty much.
Oh my God. When can we go to a hockey game?
Right?
Like, I really want to go to a hockey game.
Which also, side note, unrelated to this, but the new trend after Heated Rivalry has been to call hockey games boy aquariums.
Oh.
So women will just go and be like, I visited the boy aquarium today because it just looks like you're watching boys in an aquarium.
I can see that.
Yeah. So that's what we have to do.
Yeah. So when are we going? Like, we should definitely get tickets.
We've got to get tickets.
Done.
We're doing that right after this. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
Dude, I have such an appreciation for this game now. I'm like, where have you been hiding all my life?
Right.
Like, I'm not a sports ball person, but I'm clearly
I'm
could be a
here
puck
for
daddy,
it.
you know?
Absolutely.
I could be a puck daddy.
You could be a puck daddy.
Yeah.
So John is an enforcer. And here's the other thing that's like kind of sweet, kind of sad.
Yeah.
Is he actually hates fighting.
Of course he does.
He said that there would be times where he would stay up at night, like he'd have a hard time falling asleep because he knew he was going to have to fight the next day.
He's not violent in his
He's
heart.
not. That's why he would try to go up to these guys and be like, just
stop doing that.
Just don't.
Like, let's make it easier on all of us because I'm going to whip your ass.
Exactly.
So just like, let's not do it.
Let's not do that.
Yeah.
But sometimes they would, and he'd do his thing. So John is crushing it in the minor leagues. And then he's so good, he finally gets noticed by the NHL, and he gets picked up in 2008.
Yes.
Playing for the Minnesota Wild.
Yes.
Yes, but this is just the first team. He actually bounces around quite a lot. So he starts with the Minnesota Wild, but then he goes to Chicago and New York and Buffalo and San Jose, but always as an enforcer. That's his role.
Yeah.
Okay. So during this time, during his career, there also starts to be this parallel shift with the NHL.
Okay.
And remember how I said, like, earlier on, fans were already He's just getting a little frustrated with the NHL. This is also part of this because there's this push to have more focus on scoring, on skill and speed, and less on the fighting.
That takes the fun out of it.
Takes so much fun out of it.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, so they're trying to like actively eliminate this position of the enforcer and trying to focus on these other elements of the game.
I see.
And this is ultimately why John is the perfect joke candidate.
I see, because he's the ultimate enforcer.
He's the ultimate enforcer. And so already they're changing the rules. There's also this other shift happening on the side. So they're like, John's perfect for
it's
this.
an FU to the NHL.
And it's an FU to the NHL.
I love it. Okay.
So quickly, John actually jumps to the top. He goes from like the 56th place, like one of his buddies on the team actually flags it with him and says, hey, did you know you're number 56 on the vote? And he's like, oh, that's crazy. And then they check it the next day and he's in the top 5. And then they check it the next day and he's number 1. And remember, they're not voting in the whole team anymore. They're voting the captain. So by him being number 1, they're voting for him to be the captain of one of the All-Star teams.
I love this. I love this.
And here's the thing is everyone's talking about how funny it is. They're like, we're totally trolling the NHL because it's a huge news story. John hates it.
Oh no, he doesn't like the joke.
Because he's not dumb. He gets the joke. He understands that a player like him would normally never be an all-star.
He doesn't like it because it's like, it's clearly a joke. It's an anti-vote, essentially.
Yes.
And I don't want to be used as a joke.
Exactly.
That's fair.
So he's just kind of upset about the whole situation.
Yeah.
And the NHL is also very upset about the situation. They consider this a mockery to the All-Star Game because the thing about the All-Star Game is a lot of the old-time hockey players are involved and they see this as something that's very prestigious. So it's not just some fantasy game. Like there's some level of prestige and exclusivity and
an honor to be involved in a part of it. And
exactly.
I see.
So the NHL is also very upset about how this vote is going.
Yeah.
So then John, he gets a text message from the PR guy on the team that he's currently on, which at this point he's on the Coyotes.
Yeah.
It's the Arizona Coyotes, I believe. And the PR guy is telling him to release a statement that basically says, thank you for the support. I don't want your votes. Please vote for the other guys on my team. And they tell him essentially step away from the All-Star Game.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah. And like John, I feel so bad for him because at this point he feels like he's being tossed around. He doesn't like the situation. Then he gets this text. And at this time, he's also kind of going back and forth with his wife as to, if this actually happens, what should I do? And so he's feeling very conflicted. So she says to him, don't just go with his statement. Put out a statement that feels true to you.
Yes. Okay.
So
this is why we love her.
Yes. She's amazing. She's such an incredible support. So the statement he releases says, it's nice to be thought of by all the fans, and for that I'm truly flattered and grateful. And while I would love to experience an All-Star Game, I think a few of my teammates are a bit more deserving of a vote. So this signals, first he's being very gracious. He's just saying, thanks for thinking of me.
I look better than the statement from the PR guy, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
But he's also saying, like, while I would love to be in an All-Star Game, there's probably other people that are more deserving.
Yeah.
So he's not fully ruling it out.
Yeah.
He's just saying, maybe vote for other people.
He's not saying, I don't want your votes. He's saying, I appreciate you.
Exactly.
As fans, and I appreciate the votes, but there are more deserving people. That's a really good way.
It's a great statement. But this did not stop the fans. And he remains as number 1 in the vote. And the NHL is not happy about this at all.
What a weird dynamic for him, because he's like, on the one hand, I'm upset about it, but if the NHL is also upset about it, that would make me feel very rebellious and be like, well, F you, I can be in an All-Star Game.
Right? Right? And like, I feel so bad because he's in this weird position.
Yeah.
And so one of the higher ups at the NHL actually reaches out to John towards the end of voting. So it's getting close
Yeah.
to it being wrapped up. And so now the NHL is getting desperate. And at first they start the call just asking how John's feeling.
Yeah.
And, you know, he just says like, well, I think it would be fun. And, you know, I would want to go to the game.
Yeah.
The NHL's like, absolutely not. So now they take this weird angle and they start like playing mind games with him.
What?
So they start by saying, well, like, really? Do you think you'd be good? Do you think you'd be able to keep up? Like, you're not exactly the most skilled player.
Oh, that activates something in me. I'm like,
Oh, it gets worse.
excuse me.
Then they ask, is your dad still alive? And he goes,
What?
yeah, what does this have to do with it? And they're like, well, would your dad be proud to watch this game? It gets worse.
Okay.
Because already John is like, after the first thing, he's already not feeling great. Then they bring up his dad, and he's like, that also doesn't feel great. And then
This is like so below the belt already.
so below the belt. Then they ask what his kids will think when they look back and watch the game.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep.
What is wrong with these people?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I would be so fiery.
Oh.
I would be like, you want to know what they're going to think? They're going to be proud of me. I'm going to show you. I would be scheming so many things. I'd be scheming like I'm going to be the best they've ever seen. And then I'd also be scheming, I'm going to be the worst they've ever seen just to shove it in their face. And then I'm going to like take a shit on the ice. I'm going to like, there would be so many
things
through my head.
Well, and that's the thing is John's like, when they brought up his kids, he loses it.
I would too, man.
He cusses him out.
Good.
He goes off on
does
him.
Force her on that.
Yeah.
Mm.
But here's the other thing. And this is, I really just feels like this captures the full picture of John. He says in this interview, he's cussing the guy out, and then he stops himself and he realizes I probably shouldn't be talking to an higher up at the NHL like this.
Yeah.
So he stops and he apologizes and says, I'm sorry, things got a little out of control. Give me the night to just sleep on this and I'll call you back. So he has enough control to stop himself to apologize, though he shouldn't have to.
No,
He should not have to. And says,
he's
let me
the
sleep
hero
on this.
that we need.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's very admirable.
Very.
Very admirable. Okay.
So he goes to sleep and he calls him back the next day and he says, I'm going.
Good for him.
We love John. We love John. But the NHL is not done with their fuckery.
Mm.
Okay, so at this time, it is 2 weeks before the All-Star Game.
Yeah.
And the GM of the Arizona Coyotes pulls John aside and says, we're trading you to Montreal. Just like 2 weeks before.
Oh my gosh.
Just like clearly trying to kind of mess with him.
mind games.
Mind games. And
Full mind games.
then at the same time, Montreal contacts him and says, actually, you're being demoted to St. John's, Newfoundland farm team, which is the Miners.
Oh no.
So he gets traded essentially twice in the same day. And according to the terms of the trade, he had to be put on a plane that same day to Montreal. So he's going from Arizona to Montreal to their minor league team.
That is so messed up.
And it's never confirmed that this is purposefully like orchestrated.
It's totally on
but
purpose.
it's totally on purpose.
There's no part of me that believes this was not like just a absolute on purpose.
Oh yeah.
Screw you because we have some power and control over you and we're mad about the situation.
Yes.
How unfair to him as a player. He had no part of this.
No part in this. And just because he's not outright refusing to go to the All-Star game that people are voting for him to play, he's now being punished.
It's their fault. You're punishing him for something you did. Like, you changed the rules. You asked the internet to vote, which is a mistake.
Yes.
Has Bodie McBoatface taught us
Oh,
Nothing.
yes. Right? Exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Like, this is all your fault, and you're taking it out on someone who is clearly a good person.
Yes.
And is not doing anything wrong, is playing by every single rule in the book, and you're screwing their life up.
Yes.
Oh my God. F U NFL.
Oh.
NHL.
NHL. For
NHL.
sure. And here's the thing. So he's panicking because he has to essentially, from practice, get on a plane. So he calls Danielle,
Yeah.
who is at this time 9 months pregnant with twins,
My gosh.
and says, we're in the minors now. They're telling me I have to move. They're telling me I have to get up on a plane. Like, can you help facilitate this? Like, I'm getting on a plane, you know, and she's like, I support you. She packs up everything. She starts looking at flights and realizes that flights are like 14, 15 hours, that they're $1,500.
When you're that pregnant, you're not supposed to fly either.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I didn't even think about that.
Mm.
But, and she says at this point, she actually broke down and sobbed because it hit her, everything that was happening. And she feels so bad for John. So she's in this world where she's wanting to be a supportive wife. She sees what's going on with John, how he's been made this joke. He's been pulled around. Now he is contractually obligated to fly out. But despite it all, she does it.
Oh my
She's like, okay, we'll do it. Yeah. And at this point, fans get wind of what's going on.
Yeah.
And they are outraged.
Good.
Yes. And this I love. So they're like, we voted for him, and now the NHL is doing everything they can to keep him out. And they also, here's the other thing, they are pretty sure that they put him in the minor league thinking it might disqualify him, or that he would think he's disqualified.
Yeah.
But fans start reading through the bylaws, and there's literally nothing in the rule book that even close to addresses the situation. And they're like,
I love that they're like, I'm going to the book.
Yep, absolutely. And they're like, he is being punished for a vote that we all did fair and square. Like, we all decided this, and now he's getting punished. And so fans start protesting. They're out there with signs at the games.
I love
they're saying things, and there's even like an online protest where people say you need to put pressure on your local sports reporter, call them up, email them, tell them about this story, get it out there.
Yeah.
And put pressure, saying like, this is not fair, and stick up for John Scott.
Yeah.
And so that is what all of the fans do. They go ham.
Yes.
And finally, after maintained pressure, the NHL caves and says, fine, John can play. Yeah.
John's gonna play.
So, I mean, he's still getting pushed to the minor league. There's all the other stuff is still happening,
stuff is still going on,
but he at least gets to play. And at this point, poor John is like, I'm still not even sure that I want to play anymore.
Yeah.
Because there's been so much. My life is completely upended.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting punished. I feel like I'm ruining my career.
Totally.
I've been made this big joke. And so, yeah, he says between the fans making fun of him and the league demoting him, the whole thing felt really humiliating.
Oh.
But Danielle, his ride or die, who we love, she says to him, I know right now you probably want to run away and just hide from the world. And that probably feels like the easiest thing, but I think you might regret this. And she says, let's go. It'll be fun for the family. The kids will love it. I would love to see you go and prove these people wrong.
Yeah.
I love her so much. And so he says that after his wife built him back up, he decided, F it, let's do this. All right.
What happens?
All right. January 31st, 2016, the All-Star Game is being held in Nashville this year. There is reporters everywhere, and John is the big story. He's representing the Pacific Division, and they're playing the Central Division. And from everything I could read, the Central Division team is stacked with really strong players.
Yeah.
Danielle is in the stand with their two kids. All eyes are on John, just waiting for him to fail. He's feeling butterflies. He's stressed out. And so the coach asks him, do you want to start? And he says, no, I don't want to start. He doesn't want to be a starting player.
I get that though.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's probably the right choice.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, right? Like who should start or who's like he's being tactical.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love this. The coach is like, you know what? I respect that. He says, fine, but I'm still putting you in early. So he's saying like, you're not getting out of this.
Yeah.
I won't start you, but I'm going to put you in early.
You're not going to sit on the bench.
All right. The game starts. John is on the bench,
Yes.
butterflies in his stomach. 26 seconds into the game, the ref drops the puck. The opposing team immediately takes it and scores.
Oh no.
Yeah. And apparently it was like a killer pass where it was just one of
Yeah.
those where they literally just took control of it immediately and just
And wait
got
for
it
it.
in.
Oh my God.
And so
Okay.
26 seconds into the game, already their team
There's a
is
score.
down one.
Okay. Okay.
The coach looks at John and says, Scott, you're in.
He's like, I need an enforcer.
Yep,
You
pretty
gotta
much.
get in there. You gotta find the rats. You gotta cause some trouble.
You got to cause some trouble.
Okay.
So remember, the game has gone from 5-on-5 to now it's 3-on-3.
Yes.
And so what that means for the game is there's a ton of open ice.
Yes.
There's really nowhere to hide.
Mhm.
There's just a lot of visibility. So John is just like,
This is not my game, but I'm gonna play it.
yes. So again, ref drops the puck.
Yes.
John's team takes position or
Okay.
possession of the puck. Okay, so they're passing it back and forth. And John says he sees a clear lane between two defenders and he sees that the goalie is out of position and his teammate who has the puck looks at John, sees that he's seen things, passes it to John.
Okay.
John shoots. He misses.
Caitlin, but.
There's a but.
Oh no. I love a butt.
The goalie, even though the way he missed, it didn't go into the net. But the goalie, as I said, he was out of position.
Yeah.
When the goalie shifts to go back in position, the puck bounces off the goalie
No.
into the net.
Oh my God.
He scores. He scores.
I'm sorry. The drama.
The drama.
The drama.
Yes.
My heart is pounding.
I know.
Caitlin.
I know. So it wasn't like a direct shot. It didn't go the way he expected, but still he gets the point.
Oh my gosh.
And at this point, fans go
Freaking out.
wild. They give John a standing ovation. It totally pumps him up. And what's so cute is Danielle, who's just watching him this
Yeah.
whole time. She says she can see this look on John's face where he totally relaxes.
And he knows.
And he's like, I can have fun. I'm going to have fun at this
Yeah.
game. And she can tell that he's allowing himself to now get into the game
And to play.
and to play. So this one move just really pumps him up. So now it's getting towards the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
John's team is only up by 1 point.
Okay.
The opposing team has the puck. They go, they shoot, but John's team blocks it and takes control of the puck.
Okay.
And John sees this, and they really were expecting to get in. So when John realizes they have control of the puck, he immediately starts booking it down the ice.
Oh my God. And he's a big guy. He's
a big guy. So he's skating as fast as he can outside of where he was into the zone of like the opposing team. And his teammate, Bernsey, sees him. And he's like, oh, he can do it. So he passes it to him. And there's this other guy who's on John's back trying to get him. But because John's such a big guy, he can't do it. And then John sees another opportunity. The net is open.
Oh my God.
He's at the end. The other team didn't. John takes the shot. And
What happened?
he scores! He gets it in.
I'm sorry. I need to.
No, everyone at this point goes absolutely wild. His team won the game and he was the final
Oh my
winning
gosh,
shot.
John.
Yes. Yes.
This is a Disney movie.
Right? And what's so funny, it's funny you say that because he's describing this moment. He's saying his team lifts him up, is
Yeah.
carrying him. His wife, like fans are helping him
Oh my
or like
gosh.
helping her and her kids get down to the ice. He picks his kids up, puts them skates around. One of his kids is saying how stinky he smells. And he says it felt like a Disney movie. Like it felt like a script written by Disney.
It 100% needs to be a Disney movie.
But the journey is still not over. So there's one more thing to know about the All-Star Game.
Okay.
At the end of the game,
Yeah.
fans vote for an MVP of the game.
Well.
And the way they do this is they text in the name of a player to win.
Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning of the vote, the NHL says, here's your options, and puts the name up on the Jumbotron. And wouldn't you know it, John Scott was not listed as one of the names
No way.
on the Jumbotron for voting for MVP. And the fans see this and they start booing. They are pissed.
Riot in the ice rink.
Oh,
Riot.
yeah. So they are furious because they've just seen this game. They all know
He
that the
clearly
NHL,
was the MVP.
yes, has actively been fighting against him. He was supposed to be this joke candidate. He scores the game. People are cheering for him. But during the vote, thousands of people
They just texted his
texted in the write-in candidate,
Oh my gosh.
and John Scott wins
Oh my god.
MVP of the All-Star Game.
Yay.
So there's two kind of things that come out of this. So one, John finishes out the season and he
Yeah.
retires.
Yeah.
Currently, he and Danielle live with their 5 girls out
So
in
he
Michigan.
retired
He
after
retired
this.
after this. He said, you know what? This is it. This is good.
It is a really good high note to retire on.
It
I mean,
is.
at the end of the day, it's like he went and did a history book sort of thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll
This
stop
is
here.
good. This
Yeah.
is good. And one of the other things that is really cool is the helmet that he wore during the game.
Yeah.
It actually gets flown to Toronto, where it ends up, it's put on display at the Hockey Hall of Fame.
I love
So
that.
he's now a part of the Hockey Hall of
That's
Fame.
amazing.
The other thing that comes out of this, the NHL, they create a new rule known as the John Scott rule that states that any player who is voted to be captain of the All-Star Game that then gets demoted to the minor leagues will be disqualified.
So they're like, let me just make sure we can steal this election again.
Pretty much. Pretty much. So they said, well, there wasn't a rule before. We're going to make one now. So just forever, the villain of this story, they double down.
Come on, NHL. What is this about?
Right.
What is this?
But at the end of the day, you know what? John Scott, he got his win. He got his moment.
Good for him.
And the thing that I love is this started off as a joke. He felt like it was going to be humiliating.
Yeah.
But his wife, Danielle, says, prove them
Yes.
wrong. Go out there, prove them wrong. And
And
that's
he did.
exactly what he did.
He did, and he did.
And that is the tea.
John, we love this.
We
tea.
love John. Isn't that
love
such a
John.
good story?
This was great. Like I feel like I just watched a whole thriller. I'm like, why do I love hockey now? Oh my
I know.
gosh.
And I love an underdog story.
Absolutely.
I love a story of somebody proving people wrong.
And I love people lifting each other up like Danielle. And I love this. I love their whole dynamic. I love, it's great. Everything about the story is perfection.
Yes.
Absolute perfection. Okay, now I'm gonna need to go watch some hockey.
Oh, 100%.
yeah, I can't come down off of this. I'm gonna
No.
need some more hockey.
We gotta get that going, you know. We got another hit of this. So.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we should cheers to John Scott.
To John Scott, MVP.
MVP, baby.
Let's take a sip of tea of the time.